Good evening. Alan, it looks like it might be me and you tonight, buddy. How are you doing this evening? How's everybody doing? I think, I don't know if it's showing me everybody just yet, but if you're here, pop into the chat, say hi. If you're not, don't. uh, but tonight we're going to kind of have a brief discussion on. I want to know from you, the paid subscribers, what you would like to learn from these classes, what you're struggling with that I might be able to help you out with by little show and tell, or questions that you may have, and hopefully in tonight's session we can maybe answer some of the questions that some of you might have and everything. Alan, I'm joking, but right now I don't see a whole lot of people popping up in the chat, so it may just be you and I, buddy. So if you have any questions while you have some one-on-one time with me, go for it. But what I'm hoping is that what I learned tonight and just, just from the conversations and everything, I can put that information to good use and provide, projects or classes or anything. Hey, Ron Bishop, how you doing, bud? Projects or anything that that might, that'll benefit y'all, that'll be, worthwhile for watching and learning and things. So, as I said, it's going to be an open forum tonight, and the goal is to, learn about what you're struggling with the software, with your CNC too. It could be with your CNC as well. If you have any questions or just kind of what your biggest struggles are, and see if I can kind of help with any of that. Now, I don't know everything about everybody's different controllers. Man, my face is breaking out. I don't know everything about everybody's different controllers, but for the most part, I got a pretty good handle on things, so I should be able to, help and answer and things like that and stuff. It's a struggle for me, each week, especially twice a week, when we do have classes twice a week, to, come up with project ideas that just aren't beat to death. I mean, I look on YouTube and I just look at, CNC projects or CNC or Vectric, and it's like, saturated with information, which is a good thing, but it's hard to come up with something new or different, or, that hasn't been, discussed a lot. And even, even with, the things that I do and stuff, it's hard to gauge what is, informative to you and things like that. So I'm hoping tonight, by learning what your struggles are, or, just have whatever questions you may ask, and in the Q&A, just kind of ask the questions, and then, projects that, that you'd like, or things that you'd like to learn or get from these classes and all, or from this membership that you pay for. This will help me help you. It'll help us all, right? It'll help me, develop kind of a content library. All right. So, and Alan and Ron, heck, guys, it might just be us three in here, I think everybody's not used to having Wednesday classes, so everybody's waiting until Thursday now. But feel free to take advantage of this time, and if you have anything that you want to go over or ask, for sure, we can absolutely talk about it. Alan, just to put you on the spot for a minute, Alan, are you a digital woodcarver owner, or what CNC machine do you have? And Ron, put you on the spot as well too. You two guys, what CNC machines do y'all have? I think for some reason, I think you're both digital woodcarver owners. Let me know. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. .crb 3D. Hey, Doug, how you doing? Doug's popped in. Doug, how's things going, buddy? .crb 3D. We were just talking about Doug. We were just talking about me learning from you guys tonight. Ask any questions that you might have, or tell me what your struggles are, what you struggle with your CNC, or with design, or with the software, or just whatever in general. If you have just a direct question, and also what type of projects would you like to learn? So you have a Next Wave Shark HD 520, Ron. Okay, good. And nice. And Alan, you have a machine that you built. Okay, cool, awesome. Yeah, Doug, the humidity for sure. I'm so thankful that I love summertime, don't get me wrong, but in a metal building that has no climate control at this point, besides opening the front door and have some fans running, and 110, 115 degree Florida weather, you walk in there, and then the humidity on top of that, but it's just like you just break out into just this sweat as soon as you walk in the door. I love when it starts to cool down and starts to balance out and everything. Then I really get active in the shop and everything. I'm not so miserable. I can handle putting a heater in the shop and running heat and all. It's hard with the fans. It's just like a convection oven, cycling hot air. With a heater, I can break the chill, no big deal, and everything, and I can handle that much better. Even though I don't like winter, kind of thing, but it's for me, I'm very active in the the winter time down here. So very cool. And Alan says, I'd like to know more about the underused trick that are in the software. So Alan, the underused tricks that are in the software. Are you referring to the hidden, resolutions, or when you say underused tricks, do you have something specific that you could mention and everything? And while you do that, give me just a second here. While you do that, let me see if I can pull something up here. Let's see. There used to be, yeah, there is. It's still here. There used to be there is. I keep saying used to be, but there is an area in your Vetric account, if for those of you that use Vetric and all. It used to be really good. It's the tip and trick section of the account of your Vetric account. There's a section now called tips and tricks, and in the
sit back anymore and watch these people sail up and down the Caribbean like
a guy.
The line was headed toward our shore.
Let me turn off your. You got your radio going on in the background, so let me mute your mic for a second. There you go. And JR, how you doing? All right. Yep. Guys, you're on screen with me. Awesome. Thank you for joining me. And just make sure that when you turn your mic on, that if you have anything in the background, just put your headphones on or something, just to make it enjoyable for everybody. All right. So what's happening, guys? We're sitting here talking. Thanks for popping in. We're sitting here talking. I was talking with Alan and Ron and Doug and everything about tonight. I want to have kind of an open house discussion, just a Q&A. I kind of want to learn what you're struggling about with what you might be struggling for with your CNC, your carving, your software, what you'd like to learn from these classes, or just general questions that I might be able to answer for you and everything. And Kevin, good to JR. This is up in the top corner right above your head. That's Kevin. Kevin, that's JR down below. Kevin, and then over in the chat, you can turn your microphone back on, Kevin. In the chat, we have Doug Fushi, Allen, and Ron Bishop popping in over there and all that. So, guys, this is, y'all know JR and everything. This is Kevin. Kevin, is it Kuhn or Kuhn? Or how do you pronounce the last name? Turn your microphone on. Keen.
Drop the U, drop the H, add a E.
There you go. All right. So Keen and Kevin owns a 3648 digital wood carver CNC machine. And Kevin, you've been with us, a machine owner for what? You're going on 2 months, 3 months, 2 years.
I received it July 1st.
Yeah. So literally just kind of getting going, and he's doing some cool stuff and everything. And we worked together on a few things, but he's hitting the ground running and everything. That's good. But Alan, what I was talking about before the guys popped in, on the underused tricks in the Vetric account, in your Vetric account, it used to be really good, but I don't see some of the older videos there. But there's a section called, let me see if I can share my screen real quick. Where's my screen at? Share entire screen. There's a section, in your actual Vetric account that's called Tips and Tricks, right? And it's a collection of videos that kind of go beyond the project, and they used to really, show like little hidden gems. Now, I haven't looked at the tips and tricks videos for quite some time, for a very long time and everything. So there's been a lot more added on since then. There's been a lot more added since the last time I looked at it. So I don't know if it's still where it's kind of like a short to the point video that kind of goes beyond the project. And it's like, here's a little tip or here's a little trick on that. And it shows some of those little, nice little gems, hidden gems and stuff. But if you, excuse me, if you have a particular, hey, I've seen this kind of hidden thing that I've seen it once or seen somebody do it, and I'd love to learn more about it. Definitely describe that to me and everything. And let's see here. Alan says, little tricks that can help to speed up the process and make things easier? Well, we can talk about that for sure. So let's
chat is no longer available.
Alexa, stop. Alexa thought I was talking to her. The
I'm not quite sure how to
Alexa,
do that.
stop. I'm in a class. The when it comes to some of the things that can help speed up the process and stuff, Alan, and all, is if your machine, the less movements the machine has to make to go from point A to B, that's going to increase time that the machine doesn't have to accelerate, decelerate, and just moving from one place to another across the table to go carve something, then come back across, and things. So organizing your cuts depending on what they are, whether you choose your vector selection order, so it cuts in a particular order, or by taking some of the toolpaths and maybe merging them together or creating array copies, so they carve in a certain order and stuff. Those things can kind of help with speeding up the process. Now, this goes beyond speeds and feeds, your router bit speeds and feeds. And depending on your machine's rigidity and strength, speeds and feeds will vary based on that. And the process, some machines can, run up to 1,000, inches a minute, some 500, some 150 kind of thing. And it just depends on, how deep or how fast your bits can cut, and things like that. But if we can reduce movement, nodes, and everything, that can increase things. So right now let's make this star a little bit bigger. And if we look at this star, and we come into our node editing on it, very few points, right? So points, nodes, and Alan, you probably already know all this, and everybody does, but I'm just kind of talking in general, just as a learning thing. So I'm kind of talking somewhat basic information and a lot of this stuff as well too. But nodes are your lines of G code. They are the points from point A to B to C. So all those lines in your G code, that is where the router is going from this coordinate to this coordinate, to this coordinate, to this coordinate, to this coordinate. And so every single line of G code is based off those nodes and points. And if I offset this star outward, and let's say I offset outward, let's go 1/4 of an inch. And let's say I don't, make sharp corners on it or what have you, and I go into node editing mode. The nodes in general here, they're not increasing by any means or anything like that, and which is a good thing. But sometimes when you bring images in, and let me see if I can let me grab an image. Where's this? We'll do this one. This rose here. I'm going to go into the trace tool. I'm going to convert it to a black and white. I'm going to draw a box around the rose itself. Turn this up to 75. Default corner fit, the noise filter, I'll go ahead and crank that up to 4. Hit preview, apply, and close. And then I'm going to come over here and turn off the bitmap layer. So now let's move the star over a little bit. And let's actually delete this star for a second. Now on this rose, we come into node editing on that. You have all of these nodes, and let's just focus on the main outline. So now on the outline, on this outline, every single one of those nodes is a line of G code. And so if I were to profile cut this border, and let's say I'm just going 1/8 of an inch, I'll use an 1/8 inch end mill. My 1/8 inch end mill is running 100 inches a minute on the line, and I calculate that tool path. Now the software can't really differentiate, or it doesn't do a great job on determining when the how fast the software or how fast the machine accelerates or decelerates, when it decelerates and accelerates. It's just like driving a car. Going into a corner, you're going to decelerate, and coming out of the corner, you're going to accelerate. And Charlie Hall has joined. Cool, Charlie. Thanks for popping in. I don't see Charlie here. Okay. With the acceleration and deceleration, all that Vectric has to guess that. That's based on these, rapid rates and scale factors and things like that. Let's say I was on a 2440 CNC machine where my rapid rate is 150 inches a minute. My scale factor is 1.3. On this profile cut, it's not a big cut. It's only, registering at about 32 seconds to do the cut at 100 inches a minute with my bit. But if I come in here in my curve fit tool, this is one of those hidden gems, Alan. The curve fit tool will take these points, and these are not straight lines. They're not circular arcs. They're more Bezier curves on them. We use a tight tolerance, but we're going to replace these and try to minimize those nodes. So if we look at these nodes, Control Z, that's before. If you look at all those black nodes and everything, along with the blue, and then Control Y. Oop. Let's get Control Y there. So the reducing those points will help with, excuse me, I don't know why I'm choking to death. In some cases, it will help with reducing, the runtime. So making, long story short, to answer your question, one of the major things is make sure that your nodes you only have as many nodes as is necessary to create your shape. Anything beyond that, and this is not going to change the time from 32 seconds, based on the nodes that, has had. And again, I only have this project at 8x4, so it's real small. But reducing your nodes and reducing how many, points that router has to move to, that's going to help speed things up. If I'm carving, and let's say that I was carving each of these vectors separately, and let's say that this was a bigger project. Right now it's only 8x4, but if my router is carving over here, and then it's going to step over and carve over here, and then it's going to come back and carve here, and then here, and things, in different orders and all, because of your choices. And let's talk about choices. If I was doing a profile cut, by default, your choices are checked off, such as this. And let's go maximum. Let me maximize the screen here for a second. We'll be right back, guys. But the choices by default are set to this: left to right, bottom to top, kind of a grid formation, shortest path, meaning that when that router bit starts its carve, it's going to kind of carve from the left side to the right side, from the bottom to the top. It's going to kind of work its way up. But then at that point, it's not going to just kind of go straight up in a straight path. If it's carving this vector, and let's say the endpoint is here, it's going to kind of bump over to the closest vector, shortest path. And this path is up, so it's going to kind of come over here. And then it's going to kind of just continue its path, working its way around. And sometimes, depending on where the nodes end and start, that could cause the router to jump from one place to another, and not really in that order. And when you select a set of vectors, when you select a set of vectors and stuff, these green nodes, so from here, it's going to pick, its shortest point, shortest distance to carve. So it's going to jump up to here. This will be the shortest distance, and it's going to come and cut here. And then from here, it's going to choose its shortest distance. And it's going to start kind of working its way in a path and everything. And then by the time it kind of gets around, back over to here, and then, carving this vector and this vector, it's kind of working its way around. And that sometimes adds time. That's where the option, if someone wanted to, now it would be ridiculous of me to come in here and select every single vector of this rows individually. It would make no sense for me to do that on a project like that. But I'm talking about if I have objects that are laid out, let's say the stars of a flag, 50 stars, I would probably want to select the stars in a particular order so they're not jumping all around all over the place, so it carves in that particular order. And at that case, I would be turning off these options here, and I would be choosing the vector selection order. I would say, hey, carve in this order and everything. Another thing, Alan, another reason why this is useful and stuff is that if I have projects that, let's say I'm using a jig and I'm making coasters or something, I can select the vectors I want to carve in a particular order. And when they're finished carving, they will move to the next item and everything. And I can take that first piece out, put a blank in its place, and I can work in the order it's carving. Now, it's not always that case. It's not always like that. Depending on my tool pass, I could have 20 different tool paths and everything. And it's going to take and run all the 1/8 inch cuts, all the 1/4 inch cuts, all of this, all of that and everything. And sometimes it jumps from part to part, and it doesn't actually complete one part in its entirety before it goes to the next part and stuff. And that's where these tool pass options up here come into play, especially the merged toolpath. So a merged toolpath will allow me to merge by part my different toolpaths, which will force it to complete an entire part before it moves to the next part to carve. And if I have, if I have automatic tool change on my CNC, wonderful, because it's going to go and drop off a tool and then pick up a tool, carve, and it's going to, whatever tools, however many tool paths, but it's going to finish that one part before it moves to the next part and the next part and the next part. Right now, the tool paths are just running all the 1/8 inch bits, coming back and doing all the 1/4 inch bits, coming back doing all the, V bits and things like that. It's carving, it's doing by bit. Well, when you merge toolpaths, you can merge by part. Now, if you have semi-automatic tool change, meaning that you have the ability, you have a tool setter, a tool height setter. You don't have a rack. You don't have a spindle that opens and closes or clamps or anything. You're still the tool changer, but the router will present itself. It'll say, hey, take out this tool, put in this tool. And then when you do that and you click OK in the software, it'll move over and it'll touch itself off and measure itself on the tool setter, and then it'll continue the carve. So you're still interacting with it, but it presents itself and tells you when to change bits and on. It makes the process a little easier if you were doing that, part by part, where you're having to change bits for each part. Now, this may not be practical if you don't have automatic tool change or semi-automatic tool change. You'll be like, I don't want to change bits. I got 20 of these things to cut out, and I don't want to change bits 20 times for 20 cuts. But in production environments, I need a part off the table so I can put blanks in its place and everything. So I need it to go part by part and things like that. So it kind of, changes the process and all. So merge tool paths gives you the ability to do things like that, combine multiple tool paths and do parts. reducing nodes. That's going to, help speed up the process, Alan. And then vector selection order. A lot of times that helps. And then, of course, just your speeds and feeds. And again, it's going to be based on the router bit. I don't really have all of the answers to every single little tip and trick, Alan, but those are the three that kind of come to mind off the top of my head. So hopefully that helped. Kurt, can you change the shape of 3D tabs? No, you can't. So 3D tabs are going to still be a square tab, but they're going to have that pyramid shape to them like a 3D model. And what it is, a 3D tab, the process is, now think about this. This again comes down to speeding things up. If I have a regular tab, let's pretend that this is a regular tab here in my wood. My bit has to run up to that tab, stop, raise up, come over, come down, and continue. So it's got to make those, it's got to stop, come up, over, down, continue. So that process, that stopping process and all those movements and everything, that is, that takes up time. So the 3D tab is a smooth ramp. Let's say, I don't think I have anything that comes to a point, but let's pretend that, this is, but a 3D tab comes to a ramp. And so the CNC is just literally running that path. It doesn't really have to slow down that much to ramp over. And so it's like a ramp, just very simply, it's only a Z movement in there. It's not an X and Y stop over and under and all. It's, it still can maintain its speed. It just kind of raises the Z up as it ramps over and everything. And so that ramp shape can't be changed, Kurt, unfortunately. You can change the height and you can change the width, the size of it, right? But you can't change the shape of the 3D tab. Now, that being said, in your clip art, you do have a category that's called 3D tabs. And they're in the clip art, they're mostly round, square, or oval shape, right? But you can drag and drop those in and everything. But then now you're running a 3D project, and a 3D tab doesn't always necessarily mean that you're running a 3D project. It just creates that kind of pyramid shape of the tab instead of a square shape. So unfortunately, Kurt, on that one, no, there's no changing the shape of it and everything. I'm going to put you on the spot for a second, JR. Are you still with me?
Yeah.
JR, you've got, I believe you've got your 2 or 3 machines. One of the two. I know you got the mini carver.
I got the mini carver.
And the big machine. Do you have a 2442 also?
I got a 2440 and the 4848.
Yeah, and so JR is seeing, going from those 3 machines that, there's different strengths and weaknesses as far as rigidity and speeds and stuff that you can run on one machine versus another. Your big 4x8, just like Kevin's, 3648, you can just race through deep cuts and everything. But on a 2440 or a mini carver, you're not running as fast. So things where like 3D tabs versus straight tabs and all, the less movement that you have to do, the better. But the reason why it had nothing to do with the tabs, I was just talking about the reason why I'm asking that, JR, is you've had, you've got 3 different machines. You've been CNCing for quite some time and all that stuff. But I'm sure, what if you had one thing you're like, no matter what, Laney, no matter how many projects I've ever created or anything like that, I still struggle when I am trying to do this. Is there anything, I'm just putting you on the spot here, but is there anything that, like, no matter what, if I'm in Vectric, if I'm on my machine, if I'm whatever, I always have a hard time with this, and I have to sit there and think about it a little bit more than other projects. Is there anything that you stumble across every time? Now, I've been teaching for 8 years, and I can name a few things that I do, but is there anything for you
Oh
that,
yeah. You know,
and again, I'm putting you on the spot,
yeah.
the whole thing is what I'd like to know is what I'm trying to learn from the customers and everything is, what I'd like to know is what people are struggling with or what they struggle with. That kind of it's a common theme that I might be able to help with and everything. And if you don't have to answer right now, but think about on that for a minute and then come back to me. If there's one thing that kind of comes to mind, let us know. I'd love to hear what your answer is.
Well, you already know what's coming up, so
Oh, wait, hold on. Do I?
yeah. The laser and the rotary.
Yes.
See?
Yes. Yep. So laser engraving is more of an art than a science, and the rotary can definitely be a challenge for sure. We can talk about all that really quickly. This is a great question. What is the best product to put in the water reservoir to prevent grub, from growing on the water and not damage the head? So, number one, never use tap water. Always distilled water if you're going to use water. Distilled water is the best thing to have in your tank as far as water, no tap water. But if you're in colder climates and everything, RV antifreeze, not automobile antifreeze, but marine or RV antifreeze is going to be what I would recommend that you have in your CNC. But that's not really the question. Give me 2 seconds and I'll show it to you on the screen. Let me pull it up really quickly. Give me just a moment here. I've got to go back quite a few years. 2021. Uh, 2020. Give me 1 second. 2020. Trying to remember when I built my control box for my CNC system, and it was 2020. Give me just a second here. Here we go. All right, I'm going to pull this on the screen, and believe it or not, this product. Let's see what if. Let me see if I can go bigger on the screen real quick. This product right here. This is it's a cooling loop pre-treatment in your system. And so basically you put it in your tank with distilled water or what have you, and you run it through. And what it does, you just pre-mix it with a gallon of water, run it through, and it's safe for all gaskets and everything. But let me get back up to, I don't know why that jumped down there. Where is my, where's the good stuff? Bear with me. Where's all the good information? Give me a second. I know there's an about information here. Oh, that's great. Hold on a second. It's taking me to here. But that doesn't tell me about the product. Anyway, long story short, what this does is this kills any bacteria, possibility of algae growth, or any kind of calcium buildup, and what have you. And you run it through with that gallon. You mix it with a gallon of water, and you run it through your system, and then you flush it out. You don't keep it in the system, so you just run it through. Oh, a good, I don't know, just let your spindle and or your pump and all cycle an hour or so, and then flush it out completely, and then you put in your regular water and all, and what it just keeps everything just it kills bad bacteria and growth and calcium and algae and lime and all that stuff. And I use this in my system, and I'll tell you, it's for me, it's worth it, being kind of the one of the main things you do. And whenever I clean my water line, water tank and water lines every, excuse me, getting choked up here, every month, I run a new, and a bottle, I mean, it's only a bottle this big. I run that and kind of do that kind of pre-treatment before I put new, fresh, water and stuff in there. Now, I always say distilled water or RV antifreeze. But the other item that I use in my tanks, and it's not a cheap solution, it's expensive, but give me just a second. And they used to sell it by the big jugs, and I can't find the big jugs anymore and everything. But this coolants system here, this coolants liquid, this is meant for a cooling system. Okay, so it is high performance, low toxicity, coolant system. It's got corrosion resistance built into it, biological inhibitors built into it. It's great for different types of metals and everything, so it's not going to deteriorate different types of metals, and it helps with bacterial and algae growth long term. Your tank, it's the liquid is good for 2 to 3 years. You don't have to change your water every 2 to 3 years instead of every 6 months and all, like with antifreeze or just distilled water and stuff. Now I have a closed loop system on mine, on my 2440. I built a kind of a closed loop system and everything, and I'm going on actually I think I'm rolling into year 4 actually, since I've changed my water and all, but it's still, I can see a clear tube, but it's still crystal clear and everything. But it's I actually got to change it. But I bought these. They are 24 fluid ounces, and they look like this. Give me 1 second. Let me see. I might have already taken them out to the shop. Give me 1 second. I've got a brand new box of them. I think I've already taken them out of the shop. But they are 24 fluid ounces, and they come in a box of 2. Yeah, I don't have... I think I took the box out on there. But anyway, they come in a box of 2. They used to sell them in the jug, by the jug, for $230 for a big... that just would last forever and everything. But I only need, a couple at a time, because so this is what I use in my water systems. I don't use RV antifreeze. I don't use distilled water, but I use this. Now, my big tank for my, it's expensive for my big tank. My big tank's a 4-gallon tank. So 24 fluid ounces. I mean, it takes quite a bit of those to come up with 4 gallons, but that's why I like the gallon jugs. But unfortunately, they stopped selling the big gallon jugs, or the big jugs. 200. What is it? 200. What was it? Oh man, what was the big jug? Let me see here. If they might have it. Hold on. Coolants, liquid coolant. Let's see if they come in different colors. Yeah, so here you go. 500 milliliters and everything, $187. But it's good for 2 to 3 years. You don't have to change, every 2 to 3 years. It's got a good shelf life and stuff, or good running life and everything. It says that it's recommended to replace the coolant every 2 to 3 years, or immediately if there's any change in its color or clarity, right? And everything. But this is what I use in my spindle systems. I do the ecosystem first, run that through to flush everything, and then this is the coolant I use. It's not as cheap as going down to the auto parts store and getting some RV antifreeze, and distilled water and all, but it's just to each his own, whatever works for you.
Can you post those products in the chat, Laney?
Sure, yep. I can post a link. So this is the large bottle. Let's get you the regular. The blue is always kind of the best in stock. It's hard, sometimes the green and the reds and things like that are, out of stock and everything. But copy link and paste. So hopefully, Kevin, that answered your question. RV antifreeze, great. But that little biosystem, let me get that link for that little biosystem. Let's see here. Primo Chill System Prep. Sys Prep. And there's that link for that one. All right. And so, what you can see is, just kind of, looking at this and stuff. I rebuilt an entire cooling system, which it looks like a little, kind of computer cooling system. I will, let me see, I'll share that with you. Let me grab that photo. It's on my photos on Google. So give me a second. And that was back in 2020. February 2020. Bear with me. All right, let me download that one. So download. And then let me grab one more. Now, I do not give me just a second here. Download this one. I don't recommend, this or anything like that. It was just, it cost me $1,500 to build this box, but here's what it looks like. So it is, this is the inside of my control box, and this is what the control box looks like here. But it has temperature regulation. So when the spindle reaches a certain temperature, the fans inside kick on. When the inside of the box reaches a certain temperature, the fans kick on the sides of the box and circulate air through. But this is all my drivers and everything in here. But inside here is this. This is my water tank. That little guy right there. Water flows to the CNC, out of the CNC, through this little flow meter, through this radiator that's got a 2-fan coolant, and then right back into the top of this little tube. So it's a closed in, just like a home computer, right? And that is the cooling system for the CNC. So it pumps to the CNC, and if we look at here, right down below there, it's clear right now because there's no liquid in it, but these two hoses, there's an in hose and an out hose. But it flows out and then back in through the little flow meter to make sure everything is flowing up, pushes up through the radiator. And as it's pushing up through the radiator, the fans are keeping it cool. And then it pours back into the tube and, runs that. So the temperature controls and everything, they'll control when the fans turn on and off and all that and everything. So I did that back in 2020. Now I regret doing this. I will say that I regret doing this because, and let me pull one more photo down, and I'll explain why I regret it. Let's download this one. And I regret it because my 2440 is here, and I made this system to where it mounted on the wall. So I've made all new wires, all new everything, but it all plugs into the front of this box, and this box controls it. Well, not thinking for the future, but I moved out of this shop into my big building, and my 2440 is not next to a wall. It's kind of like it's kind of like in the middle and all. So this thing is, the hoses and all were a certain length, the wires were a certain length, and things like that. And so now I have this green cabinet kind of on a cart with wheels that slides right under the 4th axis on the side of the machine. It sits on the floor basically because I didn't think ahead. I didn't. It should have been a box or something that mounted to my machine. Some kind of control box, same internal type of components, all, but where it mounted to my machine and it could be moved with my machine. I built it as a wall hanging unit, and that was stupid. It was dumb to do that. So anyway, but anyhow, in my system, that's my little system, but I use that coolants, and then my big system is just the tank on the floor, just like you got, JR, just like you got, Kevin. And it's got the aquarium pump that pumps through and stuff. And but I use the coolants in there as well. All right, so that's that. And also system prep to clear out all the bad stuff out of a new system or an existing system, just to kind of clean it kills all the growth and stuff that might occur, and then either a distilled water, RV antifreeze, or something like that. That's kind of that coolants basically has these inhibitors, so no bad stuff builds up. And my system runs clean. My lines are clean. My fluid is clean. So, and it's lasted for years. All right, so that's enough of that. So now let's go back to the questions here. Ron says, when I was carving 3D dish, the finished toolpath leaves a rough edge around the dish. My question is, what do I do to prevent that from happening? So that's a great question. Let's turn that off and let's go back over to the Vectric software.
I didn't catch the other thing you said.
Alexa, I'm in a meeting.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
I know. Stop. She thinks I'm having a conversation with her. All right, so I'm going to go just right now, 15 by 15. 3/4 inch thick, just for right now. And then I'm going to click OK. And let's say that I have this shape here. Let's get it centered on the board. Now I'm actually going to make the dish run with the 3D tool. I'm going to go 70 degrees and subtract and click create. Now, in this 3D view right here on the dish, let's bring that down just a little bit. Apply. Now I'm going to add a zero plane so you can actually see the dish a little bit better. Create zero plane. Where are we at here? Right there. Okay. So now you should be able to see the dish a little bit better here. Now here's the deal, Ron. A dish should transition very smoothly from the top surface down into the dish, no matter what's in the middle. I don't care if it's a rose, a deer, whatever, you know, if you have something in the middle of this dish, it needs to transition down like a smooth transition. If by chance, Ron, if by chance in your material setup, let me change my material thickness for a minute so I don't have to change my dish right now. Let me change my dish height real quick. Let's go 0.75. Okay. If by chance, Ron, if my dish is not at the top, the model, this light tan area here in the model position, if that is not at the top and it's slightly down, or, you know, definitely further down, but if it's slightly down, what that's telling the software is that it needs to mill down a step before the dish starts. And what can happen is it can create a rough edge around the, instead of a nice transition into the top, it creates a rough edge because there's a kind of like almost like a profile cut, if you will, right around the rim. And if I were to calculate this, I'll just do a 3D finish toolpath. I'll use a, for this dish, I'll use an 1/8 inch tapered ball nose. I'll use the, let's go for right now with the material as the boundary just for a second. Calculate that. And then I'll show you another reason why it's going to be rough. This right now has a zero plane, but give me just a second because a lot of times dishes don't. Now this is material as the boundary, meaning it's milling the whole material. And if I did this with that zero plane and everything, the oh, I should have turned the resolution down. Hold on, let me turn the resolution down. Give me a second. Okay, one more time. Preview the visible toolpath. It's crazy how that works. Anyhow, let's go back in here. See if I can get it to give me a moment. Okay. So if we look at this here, because that dish is down in the material setup over here, because it's down below the surface by that 0.0975, that creates that lip. It doesn't transition into the top. And that lip creates a rough edge here. Now, if we take the zero plane out of the model and turn that off, let's close this for a second. Now, on my dish, there's no surface to transition into. It's just the dish here, and it doesn't transition into anything. It's kind of like it wants to drop off the sides and stuff. And so if I use the selected vector as a boundary, that's going to come up. And again, I need to make sure that I'm not buried. I got to be at the top when I calculate this tool path. But I don't have, I don't have anything to transition into. So it's going to create a bit of a, let's hit the reset preview and preview this. I don't think it'll show me in the, it's not going to show really well in the 3D view, but it can create kind of a bit of a rough edge here. So to prevent the rough edge, Ron, is number one, use a zero plane. That gives you this top ledge that blends with your top of your dish. Use a zero plane, add a zero plane to your model. You can still use the selected vector to where it still carves only the dish and everything, but having that transition will kind of remove some of the roughness on the edges. And then make sure your model is positioned properly in the material setup over on the left here. So make sure it's not buried down or anything like that. It's got to be at the very top when it's a dish, when you're dealing specifically with a dish. Now, even in Vectric, VCarve, Desktop, and Pro, you can add a zero plane. There's an option to add a zero plane to anything. And all the zero plane does is it just gives you this. It gives you this surface here. And it creates a nice transition. Now there's not a rough edge of a circle. It's now a smooth transition around all the edges. And that will help. Even though you're still using this vector to carve only the dish area, you don't need to carve the whole top or anything. That's going to help, clean it up. But this just gives it creates a cleaner edge. It creates a transition. The zero plane does. So make sure you add a zero plane to your dish. You can use a selected vector to still create the toolpath and all that stuff. But also make sure that the model is positioned properly in the material setup over here at the top right. Those two things, dish or position and zero plane, should help with rough edges on your dishes. Okie doke, okie doke. That's the only two things that those two things, one or the other or a combination of both, will clean up your edges on your dish for sure. Good question. Okay, see what the guys are doing. I don't know why I'm choking to death tonight. Too much sugar in the sweet tea. Okay. Let me see here. Let's let me see. I don't have any. If y'all have any other questions, please. If there's anything else you're struggling with, throw them in the chat. Throw them out loud. Say them out loud. I don't care. Kevin, if you have anything you want to throw out there, you can just say it verbally, and I can build off that. Anything, JR, you too. I don't have any other tips and tricks on dishes on that one, Ron. That's the only two that'll create the clean edges.
What
Chat
path
a little
was
bit
he?
about relief.
Oh,
Relief.
say that again, Kev. What's that, Kevin?
Relief carves. relief carving, where's your best? You got some videos out on tutorial for relief? Or
So, all
relief?
right. So boss relief is basically your 3D carves, right? So that, your is that what you're talking about? You're just your relief 3D carving. Yeah. So number one, the short to the point videos that will help you're going to find in the help menu of the software. And give me a second, Jared. We'll get to your question. But in the help menu under video tutorial browser, when that browser comes up, let me maximize that. When you click on that help menu, video tutorial browser, and you come down to 3D assembly and everything, when it comes to the assemblies, this is how to build up or kind of make up relief carvings from the different components that you have and things. But then when we back up and go to come down here to assembly, let's go down. Bear with me a second. Where are my? There we go. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for right. It's hiding from me. Here we go. So the tool path section, 2.5D and 3D tool paths. 3D tool paths are. Where's my 3D tool paths? Give me a second. I got to find my 3D tool paths. Modeling tools, rotary machining. Why am I not seeing it? 2.5D. Give me a second. I got to find. Let me hit my search. Let me back up. Back up. Let's go into 3D assembly. That's the assembly part of it. Getting started creating vectors, 3D assembly. We just looked at that. Modeling tools. One second. I know there's a video on 3D toolpaths. I just don't know why I'm not seeing it. What?
I know they were doing a whole bunch of changes to.
I'm telling you. Hold on a second. That's all right. We'll just do it up here. So, Vectric 3D toolpaths. Lord have mercy. There we go. So the 3D finish toolpaths and everything, and then there's a roughing toolpath, finish toolpaths, and all. These are going to be, as far as Kevin, these are going to be your quick, short, like 7 minutes, and this one up here, 11 minutes. These are your quick, short, to the point videos, right? Then when you get into like actual, like from me, or from any of the guys like Garrett or Mark Lindsay or things like that, there's a lot of videos on 3D toolpaths. Now you got to be mindful that some of them are instructional videos and some of them are just show and tell videos where it just shows the mouse moving, nobody's talking, and it's just kind of going through the steps. You don't learn anything from those types of videos. Those are just show and tell. But there are videos that are, where they actually go into, a 53-minute lesson on, creating this type of toolpath. Now, my videos, you won't find in these general sections. I don't know why, but anyway, but you will find them on my channel, Spindle TV. And within the live section, there are tons of videos on 3D modeling, 3D just project creation, and creating those relief type carvings and everything. But now my videos are not short and to the point; they are long and drawn out, and they are full of information. Combining 3D models, merging low and high. So they're wonderful lessons, but they're long. So I would recommend checking out some of the ones that are in the tutorial browser under the help menu, but also on the internet, because they're short to the point videos that I'm going to probably get a strike on that. I can't show too many of these, but that are going to help you in everything on YouTube and stuff like that are just, everything to do with relief carvings and stuff like that. But Vetric has some great little videos, 20-minute videos, 30-minute videos, and all that on making those 3D assemblies and stuff like that. So that's where I would start. On YouTube, Kevin, that's where I would start, to be honest with you. My classes are 3 hours long versus a 20-minute video, which is easier to absorb and follow along with and stuff. That's where those would be. JR, you were saying you were about to ask a question too. What were you saying?
I was going to say, back on your custom made chiller box and so forth. You came out with your cooler for your
spindle. Yes.
Okay. You can look at those the CW 3000 chiller. Mm-hmm. It's got pretty much everything you want for it. I've seen them anywhere from 150 to 275 up on Pawn CNC's site now.
Kevin, what JR is referring to, you probably already aware, but what JR is referring to is a chiller. It's a closed system. Instead of the water tank that you have, with the aquarium pump, it's an actual spindle chiller. And they range the CW 3500, 3400, 3000, but they are literal. You fill it with your liquid and everything, and it's a refrigerant type thing. It's got a cooling system inside there that cools your water as it flows through your spindle. So it's an enclosed chiller, and you see them a lot with lasers and all, but they're absolutely they are. I don't want to I can't get a strike, but with the this guy's CNC, I'm not sure what a video looks like. Let's see here. It has nothing to do with the chiller. Oh, he's breaking one apart. So that's not the video I wanted. How to install. Well, you'll get it. Unfortunately, I can't play too many videos on my video, or otherwise they'll think I'm stealing their content. But a chiller is an enclosed system and everything. Instead of just the water tank and aquarium pump and all, you can have a chilling system as well too. And Jared, do you have a chiller on yours or not?
I'm still using the water pumps on that, but I did increase the size of the holding tank. And honestly, I've never seen my temperatures go above ambient.
Yes.
Year round. And I run, well, you know me, I run my spindle. I've run it 18, 20 hours straight.
Yeah. And my little guy, it's going to be ambient temperature. The temperature of my shop is what my water is going to be. My temperatures are going to run at. I don't even have a chiller on my laser. I have a tank and an aquarium pump on that one as well too. But yeah, so those are options as well too for cooling systems, enclosed cooling systems. And you combine something like that with that coolants, and you have a system that's very low maintenance for a very long time,
Plus, you get
and everything.
alarms.
Yeah. Now, I do recommend somewhere along the lines that there be a flow meter, somewhere in line, so you can make sure water's constantly flowing. You don't have any clogs in your system or anything like that. And the flow meter that I use, that I just like, give me a second. I have no affiliation with them whatsoever, but oh, that was page 3, I believe. Page 4. Right here. Alpha Cool. So a combination of two things. Let me pull this one on the screen. This along with, hold on. There's one more thing to go with that. Orders 2020, page 4. Right here. So basically, these G quarter thread barbs, they are the barbs for the water lines that go in and out of the spindle. And that in combination with this, because they screw in where these caps are. But this is the flow meter that I use. And it is in the system. It's the flow meter right there in the system and all. And I like it because I can bleed the air out of the system by unscrewing the top lid and get all the air out of the system right through there. It's like a little bleeder. And then, when the water flows or fills that up, then I can close that valve off at the top, this valve right here. And it's just easy for me to bleed the system, just like bleeding your brakes kind of deal. But Alpha Cool. So if I were to share that link with you guys, that is the flow meter that I think is just top notch.
Now on my 2440, I have that, and I velcroed it right to the gantry arm, so it is constantly in my view on the thing. Works great.
Right? Yes. Yeah. The it's a nice little system. I think on my flow meter, yeah, I have it mounted on this little L bracket, and it's a I think I just have it to like 2-sided tape or something. It's just mounted there. It doesn't require a whole lot to hold it in place and everything, but it just runs up to my radiator and everything. But it's a very good water flow system, and I'm all big on making sure that water's constantly flowing, and everything to make sure the spindle is getting its its flow proper. There's no clogs or anything like that. All right, let's see here. Kurt says, I love doing backlit LED litho faints. Would like to try the candlestone material you talked about a while back, but I can't find it anywhere. Any suggestion for the source? Yeah, when we had that conversation on candlestone, it was at that point in time that I discovered that the source that it used to be an eBay source and all, is no longer around. And so the candlestone, there used to be an abundance of candlestone sheets and everything, but they're not the source just isn't there anymore, how it used to be. Now there's also a product, give me just a second, sandstone. Let me see if give me just a second. Sandstone lithophane. I want to see if anyone's using I don't think anyone's using sandstone as an option. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with the candlestone. I thought sandstone would be an option, but that's not. It's not a good option. Anyhow, I don't know what the deal is with the candlestone, and why it went away. Lithophane sheets. I don't know if they went out of business because 3D printing, took over, or what the deal is, but candlestone, it's like it's fallen off the map. Lithophane can. So unfortunately, I don't have a resource anymore for it. Candlestone. Yeah. So even in the the community here, they're looking for the candlestone, and this is exactly the source right here. Candlestonegifts.com. That's where you used to be able to buy it in sheets of 10 and everything, but they are no longer. They're gone. So, yeah. And now everybody's, saying the, next best thing is Corian, Glacier White, and things like that. But it's like candlestone just fell off the map. And I didn't realize that, Kurt, until the day that we did that class and went to, show the resource, and it was no longer there. And this is exactly candlestonegifts.com. That's exactly the resource. And you used to be able to buy them by the sheets. And everything, and they no longer exist. It's crazy. I don't know if I have any candlestone here in the office. I think they're all out in the shop, but yeah. So unfortunately, Kurt, I don't know. I don't know where it's just Corian now. Corian, Glacier White is a good option, or Bone. Bone gives you more of a yellower tone, but Glacier White and everything. So yeah. Now Alibaba Express does still sell it, but that's coming from China, and it's just going to take a couple of weeks to a month or whatever to come across. Alibaba, I like Alibaba. .com and let's see here. Candlestone sheet. Let's see. Where's my search bar? Lithophane. Stop. I don't want to make my own lithophanes. Hold on a second. Let me go back and be more specific. Lithophane. Okay. Give me a second. Alibaba's not producing. Candle, stone. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not going to come up either. So yeah, it's like Candlestone is just falling off the map, buddy. I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't know what to tell you on that one. But the Corian Glacier White is a really good secondary option and stuff. And yeah, I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why it's gone. Now that being said, those Candlestone powders and all, that's almost like, plaster, or where you can make your own sheets. Could give that a try, but then that would require, molds or something like that. And that's a whole lot of getting into things that you probably don't want to get into. For those of you that don't know what a lithophane is, basically it's a translucent material that gets 3D carved. And when it is backlit with a light source, it creates kind of almost like a black and white photo for anybody that's new and wanting to know kind of what a lithophane is. When you're looking at a lithophane, it is very lackluster right off the CNC, but once you backlight it, it creates kind of a black and white photo illusion. So they're wonderful for making things that are going to have light boxes that'll have some kind of light inside, or night lights, like actual little nightlight kits with a lithophane on them. Great little projects. And also window hangers, in the sun, hanging them on windows with little suction cups or like glass panes and stuff, so the sunlight can come in and create the backlighting. They're fun little custom projects and all. So that is a lithophane. And they make for some pretty cool projects and stuff. Now, believe it or not, PVC. On my fourth axis, I've carved 4-inch PVC tube pipes, pipe 4-inch pipes, schedule 40, white, carved those and then backlit them to create round lamps and stuff. They're pretty cool on the rotary axis. But that being said, this is something that I've never thought about trying until just now when I said it out loud. But Lowe's sells a very nice PVC sheet in a 2x4. a very nice 1/2 inch thick white PVC sheeting. Solid PVC. I use it on my vacuum table a lot to kind of like, because can't pull vacuum through it, so it's great to block off vents and things like that. But this being a flat PVC sheet, it will light can trans. It's a 1/2 inch thick. Light can trans. What's the word I'm gonna transmit through it and everything. And if you carved, a 3D carving in there and you thin the material, more light would go through. I've never thought about trying it on the sheet. I actually have this. I have this out in the shop. I've never actually considered trying that, but it works great on my PVC pipes and everything. And this is a flat sheet, 1/2 inch thick flat sheet. Why wouldn't it work? Why wouldn't it work? To do a 3D carving. And by the way, it's a relief type carving, like Kevin was asking about. It's a relief carving. It's a 3D relief, 2.5D relief, whatever you want to call it, flat. And it's reversed in a sense, meaning that you carve on the you carve kind of on the backside, and when the light shines through it, it creates that carving. I don't think it's reversed. I think that's a lie. Hold on a second. No, it's carved on the right side. The light goes through the smooth side on the back, and so the 3D side is on the front. I don't know what the hell I'm thinking, but it's a great option and everything. So that might actually work. That, and it's a really nice sheet. I love this PVC sheet. I use this, like I said, on my vacuum table. There's areas of the table I don't want vacuum to suck through, so I put this sheet. I have these in different sizes and all, but I put them down. It just covers my MDF board, my MDF waste board, where vacuum's getting pulled through the entire waste board. It just blocks off certain areas and everything because vacuum will not pull through this 1/2 inch PVC sheeting. So it's great to kind of. What's that?
Sorry, Laney. What about ceiling tile for fluorescent lamps?
Hold on now.
The
ceiling tile.
The lens covers that you put up there on those 2x4 or 2x3 inch lamps.
Hold on a minute. Ceiling tile. Why is that? Why am I getting stupid all of a sudden? Why is that not registering for me? Oh, not ceiling. Ceiling tile.
Yeah. They're translucent.
Yeah, but aren't those thin sheets? Aren't those thin? Are you talking? You're not talking about covers for 4x, like tube lamp, like fluorescent lamps.
Yeah, that sort of stuff.
That would be too thin. You wouldn't be able to carve any kind of relief into it, huh?
Double it up.
How do you glue that? Yeah, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't. I think that's a different type of plastic. I don't know how that would do. Honestly, don't know, JR, on that one. But that is, yeah. So most like the Corian sheets, the Candlestone that used to be around and all, they were always 1/2 inch thick, So some light can, transmit through it. And then, of course, when you milled that material away, the thinner the material, the more light. So that represented the darker areas the lighter areas of the photos. And the thicker areas of the project all represented the darker areas of the photos and everything. We'll have a class on lithophanes one day again. And I might just try that PVC stuff and see if it works. Because I got a sheet of it out in the shop.
I use a ton.
It's great. Yeah. What I use them for is this 2x4 sheet right here. What I use it for is I have a Christmas tree that gets cut out of them, I'll show you a picture. I've got a Christmas tree. What are we in? We're in 2024 right now.
Yeah.
2020.
25. I think you did that
Or, yeah,
last.
2025 right now. 2024 is when I did it.
October, November. Because I remember that one.
Yes. Yeah, right here. Okay, so let's pull this one down. So download that one. Download this one. And I'll download that one just for a close-up. Need to smooth that out, but here's the photos. So this this little Christmas tree here is out of that 1/4-inch PVC, and it's 4 foot tall, and it just slides, 2 halves that slide together, to create the tree. And then there is I just have little holes in them where the little hooks in the balls, hang from and stuff and everything. But fun little project, very inexpensive to make and very quick to make. But those things, believe it or not, that piece of PVC that we just saw at Lowe's, $39 for that sheet. And if we look at a 4-foot PVC outdoor Christmas tree and go to not shopping, let's go pictures, images, and let's go out PVC 4-foot PVC. There we go. Pop up here. So that tree is the same as this one right here, right? Kind of deal. And they are selling for, $139, $140. This individual, it was $270. It's 50% off right now on this particular sale. And 5-star rating on this particular store right here. And the 4.9 out of 5 rating on that. Yeah, so $139. That's on a discount. Comes in white or black. Crazy. But anyhow, so good seller, good little seller. You don't need to sell that much, but they are, $140, $150, So all kinds of fun stuff with that little PVC sheet. So anyway, that's that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are 1 hour and 38 minutes in. Kurt asked the question, does the PVC get melty when you carve it? No. Nope. If your speeds and feeds are correct with your end mills and V-bits or ball nose, 3D models and all, it shouldn't build up any heat at all on it and everything. It should cut like butter. It should cut almost just like cutting any HDPE plastics or HDI foam, all that stuff. UHD, not HDI. HDU, high density urethane. But any of your acrylics and things like that, the PVC will cut the same. It won't melt.
Biggest pain in the butt is dust collection of the stuff. It goes everywhere.
Yes, it's very staticky, so it sticks to everything. I mean, a static charge builds up on those little plastic pieces and everything, and it just sticks to everything. So dust collection is important for sure. But yeah, no, I'm actually curious in that I started thinking about it because I carved the PVC pipes, and when I say the PVC pipes on those lithophanes, so tube lithophane, these bad boys. Let's go one more time here. It's hard to see on that little picture, but let's see if I can get them to give me a bigger picture. Really, any of these round ones, but let's see if I can get a bigger photo. Depending on what color light you put in it and all that stuff, but those round tube type lamps and everything, that's, you know, a PVC tube, right? So thinking about that and everything is like, why wouldn't the sheet work? So I'm actually going to have to try that out and let y'all know. If it does, we might have a class on it. But
I mean, it looked like the tube was only what, an 1/8 inch thick.
Yeah, Schedule 40 PVC tube, and then, you know, by the time you mill it away, there's not very much material, you know. There's not a whole lot of material left on it. Yeah, it's thin in some areas, and you got to be careful that you don't blow through it, you know, when you're carving and stuff. But no, it doesn't get melty, Kurt. And I wish I could have helped you with the candle stone, but that source is gone even for me. But hey, if it works with the PVC, I'll let y'all know, and then that might be a whole nother source for you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's pretty much all for the question, but nobody really had anything that they wanted to talk about as far as the struggles and stuff and everything. But think about that. I kind of want you know, your feedback. I don't care if it's in the Facebook group or email or in our next class or whatever. What you want to learn, what you want to get out of these paid courses and all, helps me come up with class content, because literally, guys, I mean, if you just type in on YouTube CNC Vetric project, CNC project, and you see all these videos, I look through them and it's like, God, I mean, everything is already out there. There's nothing new, or, you know, nothing. It's all kind of rinse and repeat stuff. So I'd like to just kind of see what I want to kind of cater to y'all, since y'all, you know, you're paying for this stuff. What do you want to learn? What do you want to get out of these classes? What topics do you want to cover? What questions do you have? What do you struggle with? Whatever gets the conversation going, let's start the conversation, and then I can help you from there.
Here's one.
Go for it. What's that?
Luan programming, making our own gadgets and shortcuts and things like that.
Yes, Lua programming and stuff, gadgets. That's great. But also, while we're here, let me give you a little bit of a cool little resource online, and I'll get you the link to it. But online, Jimmy, Jimmi, and I, is it Jimmy and I, or Jimmy and me? Gadgets. Bear with me a second. Let me come here. Bear with me a second. I think it's hold on. I was wondering why it didn't pop up. I'm in my wrong browser. Hold on a second. Come over here. Let's do this. Jim and I. So gadgets.jimandi.com. Jimandi.com. Let me see if Jim and I pops up. If I do, jimandi.com. That brings you to this site, and if you go down, there's gadgets, auto dust collection, house repairs, blah, 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 gadget training material. But on the gadget, SDK. That's the little kind of the little how-to stuff, little reference and all that. But under let's back up, under the gadget homepage, all these are gadgets that you don't see in Vectric or whatever. But let's see, we have the Easy Box Maker, the Box Joint Maker, the Cabinet Maker, the Cycloid Maker, Dado Extender Gadget, Dovetail Maker, Drawer Maker, Hinge Maker Gadget, the Fence Post Cap Maker, Flag Maker, Keyhole Maker. There's just, door, Hebrew, MDF door, Organizer Maker. So they have like specific projects. Toolpath Joiner, Tray Maker, an Easy Tray Maker. And when you click on them, it'll kind of show you like, a little bit about what the project looks like and all, but you can download that gadget. There's also a link to the YouTube video and all, but most of their pictures are not there. So, but on that gadget, let's back up. You can hit download and download. These are all free. There's no cost and all. And here's a little description. This gadget produces drawings and toolpaths for creating dovetail joinery based on blah, blah, blah. This gadget creates drawings and toolpaths on cabinet drawers, that kind of thing. But these are all, there's not a lot of them. There's probably about 22. Yeah, 22. But that's just a little resource of different gadgets that are out. These guys that's their little specialty. That's all they do is they make little gadgets, community type gadgets, on different things. And they're pretty active. They haven't been, versions 11 through 12, right? So they're staying pretty active and everything, 9 through 12 and things like that. So, but yeah, like Fence Post Cap Maker, it creates that cut where you have that, that four-sided cut. It's like a chamfer toolpath, but, a gadget that does it automatically for you. It's almost like prism carving. We talked about that the other day. But so jimandi.com. Here's a resource for you. But yes, Lua, making your own gadgets. Lua, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to kind of get a little bit of a home start on that, under your help, or you can do gadgets too, but under your, let me see if it's under help or gadgets. Bear with me a second here. Give me a second. Help. Migrate, Kickstart Wizard. Let me see where it's at. Called Lua. Yeah, lua.org is kind of just a resource to let you know kind of like, what it's all about, what type of language it is. It's a programming language, but it's not really, it's honestly not, it's not too complicated, especially now with AI. You can have AI create a gadget for you in Lua, the Lua language, just by telling, Chat GPT what you want to do. But Vectric has a manual that will gadget SDK right here. It's under the manual, under developer info, down at the bottom, gadget SDK. And this is basically the toolkit of the Lua API documentation, all the how to make what you need to do for this gadget to work in Vectric and everything. So you can download that SDK, and inside of it, you bring it into your Vectric software under the gadget library, and you can open it up, and it's like a manual. That's also Gemini has that as well too, where you can download it from there, but it's right in your manual also. So you click on the manual, help contents, and it's up at the it's gadget. Let me see here. Give me just a moment. Developer. All right, so let me minimize this. In the manual, when you open up the manual on the screen, up here, if you type in developer, let me learn how to spell developer. Right here, gadgets, developing gadgets, and the information you can find here, along with some general information. And then it tells you the SDK and tutorial. So the SDK, that little workbook SDK, provides tutorials that you can follow along on making some basic gadgets, just so you can see how the workflow goes and everything. And then you kind of, start, creating things. And basically, it's just kind of a routine that you might make a gadget that draws a eight-sided octagon and scales it to a certain size, which whatever, right? It could be a simple gadget or it could be a complex gadget. And it's just something that is created to make the process easy to do, right? So,
I want to
this,
get, details out of a project. I want to know, the entire runtime. I want to know how much time I've got on each bit. Things like that.
well, now, that being said, you have Charlie's hiding in the background. Hey, Charlie, I'm going to pop you up here. How you doing, buddy? Doesn't your summary sheet give you all that information?
Well, yeah, but then you got to go and look at each individual summary sheet or print them out if you want the history of it. I want all that stuff collected naturally into a database where I can turn around and go, okay, this particular job, it actually took me this amount of time and this many bits and so forth and so on.
Gotcha.
It's a maintenance type thing. And a
yeah.
thing.
No, that makes sense. Yeah. And so that's exactly, what a gadget is, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it basically, it's just a process. It's like a macro in Excel or something. It's a series of steps that creates a result. And you can kind of write a little script, if you will, that's what a gadget is. It's kind of a script that when you click this or when you do this, it does this, right? Type of thing. And it's fun. We'll have to get into a Lua class and make a script to show. That would be a fun class to do, for sure, because it's good to know how to do those kind of things and stuff. But yeah. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's long story short. I want to know what you guys want to learn. I want to know what what interests you, what doesn't. Charlie, hope you're doing well, buddy. And everything.
Great,
but yeah, and the Kevin popped off, but thanks for hanging out with us tonight, Kevin, for sure. And everybody else, thanks for hanging out. We'll have a class tomorrow night. I do not know what the topic's going to be tomorrow, but we'll have a project going on. And we'll go from there. But yeah, if you get any, if you have any questions, if you have any, things like, hey, I'd love to learn this, or a project in mind or something like that, let me know. That way it makes it easier for me to kind of come up with topics and everything each week. All right, everybody, I am going to let you go. We ended up spending another extra 15 minutes on that topic. But y'all have a wonderful evening, and thanks for popping in, Charlie. Good to see you, man.
Thanks.
JR, thanks as always. And everybody else, Kurt, Ronnie, Doug, Ron Bishop, Alan, thanks, guys. Y'all have a wonderful evening.